the singular talent that is Sass Jordan. 12:40 the time, 20 minutes shy of 1 o'clock. Welcome to a Friday end of week edition of I was going to say the Mornings with Ed show, but it's now Afternoons with Ed. It's the all-new voice of Laguna. Delighted to have you with us. So several weeks ago, we had this couple, a local couple, great for our community, in studio to talk about so many things, including a lawsuit against the city over some parcels. And you may remember that conversation. Well, they're launching a podcast. Actually, Marcella Dornan is launching the podcast. It's called Unmasked Podcast. You can go on Instagram or watch the podcast on Spotify or Apple or YouTube, where real conversations are happening. We welcome back for the conversation Chris and Marcella Dornan. Thank you. Welcome back.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks, Ed. It's great to be back.
It's great to have you back, and I'm curious as to where we left off was with the lawsuit against the city of Laguna Beach over the parcels that all of a sudden became unbuildable when you purchased them. And I'll just recap for the audience that wasn't with us. When you purchased those for, I guess, a little under $8 million, those 12 parcels, they were buildable. Then you suddenly got wait a minute, they're not buildable, and there goes the snowball rolling down the hill, and here we are, right? Has anything taken place since our last conversation legally?
No. We're still waiting for trial date to be rescheduled.
Okay. It was initially scheduled for when?
The first week of November.
Okay. And that didn't happen. Why?
The judge reportedly was behind schedule and rescheduled all trials, I believe, for October and November, and is yet to set dates for retrial. Right. So it wasn't just specific to your case. Our case.
Okay. And are you? Did they give you an expectation, a month that it might be scheduled for, or no?
No, it's our court system here in the U.S. Right. No expectation, no communication. So we just sit here and wait patiently.
Right. That really is the court system in the U.S. It is. You must be patient. Has anyone from the city or the city attorney's office reached out to you or your attorneys in the meantime?
Not regarding this lawsuit or resolving any of it.
Okay. Regarding anything else?
We have had some meetings and conversations with some city officials regarding actually Marcella's podcast, I believe, indirectly, and some of the topics that are being discussed, and I think our view on some of the agenda items that the city is looking to make changes on with the municipal code regarding the design review process.
Right. Tell us about that.
Specifically regarding this design review efficiency that's being kind of rushed through, in our opinion.
Well, they claim they've been working on it for a year, but they're really pushing hard to push this through.
Which I'm sure they have been, and they're telling us this is their first of many steps, which it's nice to see them making some change, which is a direct result of the first lawsuit that we had with the city, where they had to pay us out $2.5 million for violating state laws and abuse of discretion. And so, they're looking to make some changes to improvements of the design review board criteria and processes. We just view this as a quarter step, and a quarter step in the absolute wrong direction, because it further limits and restricts applicants' rights in an effort for the city to create the appearance that they have an objective code and conditions for approval of projects. But ultimately what it's doing is creating a box that's so small that no applicants that actually fit in that box. And so therefore everything will be subject to subjectivity and their full discretion, and they'll have a defense against any further litigation by saying, oh, we have an objective conditions, you didn't satisfy those objective conditions, therefore we can exert our subjective discretion over you, and and tell you anything we want to tell you.
So you're making the case that they're building a shield, a legal protective shield around them with the changes.
Correct.
Did you bring this up when you spoke with whoever
we
that
did.
was from?
It was met with a disagreement in terms of what the intent was.
Okay.
And
Well,
that
he actually said he believes that this is the first step, and then that they will then further expand that.
Okay.
And Chris and I believe that this is their only step to keep the box so small that nobody will be able to go outside of that box and not be subject to subjective criteria.
Listen, if the city didn't have the history that they did and the thirst for power and control like they did, you might be able to believe and have some optimism that maybe this was a good faith effort in the right direction. But we're way too way too much cynicism on that, given our history and skepticism, to believe. When we look at this and what it means is it's going to empower Design Review Board even more to say, oh, if you don't meet these conditions, we don't even have to approve anything. We have actually the full power to say no. Versus at least now, I think they don't feel quite as empowered to draw as hard of a line as they can when you have clear lines that say, anything over 16 feet and single story is subject to full discretionary approval of Design Review Board.
And the landscape of Laguna isn't set up for that.
Right.
Like you look at Laguna and there's 2-story homes, 3-story homes all over the hills. So saying that you can't have a building over 16 feet just doesn't work. It may work down here in the village and it might be a good pathway for certain areas of Laguna Beach, but really what they're trying to do is restrict it and not promote development at all.
When you're building a home on a slant, sometimes that first floor off that slant needs to be 21, 22 feet, but it really doesn't block a view or anything.
Right. You may be only one story off street level, but then you're going to teardrop down, slope down a hillside, right? Because that's the only way. It's a hillside. You can't just continue to build out one story.
Right.
And so, the majority of Laguna Beach is on a hillside.
Right.
And so we find it nearly impossible for the majority of applicants to be able to fit within this very, very narrowly defined a box in order to create the appearance of having objective codes.
Okay. Tell me if I'm incorrect with this, that one of the changes that they were looking to make with the design review process is just 2 meetings.
It's insane.
Okay.
2 meetings.
So if you don't, if a decision hasn't been reached by that second meeting, or there's been a new development, for instance, what's wrong with the cutoff after 2?
Well, you can't even get through right now with 3, number one.
Okay.
So then you have to go through that process all over again, and they get to charge the fees to go through the process again. Right. So it is a revenue generator, but at the end of the day, people get exhausted with the process, and it's not fair. People have property rights, and those rights need to be respected, and they're doing everything that they can to disrespect those rights.
Right.
Well, and equally important, so the issue is, if they had clear codes, objective codes,
criteria,
and there was no use of any subjective discretion, and there was no view equity, mass and scale, or neighborhood compatibility, if there was none of that embedded in every single one of these design review criteria conditions, 2 hearings would be great, because it would be very easy for an applicant to comply. You submit your project, you go through, this doesn't fall within the objective code criteria, modify that, come back in and get approved.
Right.
The problem with this is you limit it to 2, and then you add more subjective criteria into the code. Design articulation is now one of the 8 design review conditions. Okay, design articulation. That means that the board members are playing architect. They get to sit up there. That is the most subjective thing. How do you satisfy? Are you psychic and you can read the minds of every one of those design review board members and go, he thinks the design should look like this. He thinks it should look like Y. He thinks it should look like this. So now you have design review boards even more empowered to redesign a property. How are they going to accomplish that in 2 hearings?
Right.
Well, and then every time you go back for your next hearing, they change their opinion because they can't remember what they said, or they didn't look at the project all the way 100%, and they're like, you know what, I actually don't like this now. And so then you're at your second hearing and you're like, okay, So now we have to start all over again. And so the goalpost with them is always moving. We've been subject to that many times.
I had spoken to someone about a week ago who had been forced to put a film on a window over privacy concern. Is privacy one of the things that we're talking about here? Is one of the criteria?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
And there is no privacy in a beachfront community.
No, you can knock on your neighbor's window and say, "Can I get a
Not
cup
when
of
the lots
sugar?"
are as small as they are and the houses are as close as they are.
Right.
No.
And is it privacy from your primary living space? Is it privacy out of your
bathroom,
closet window?
Right.
Is it privacy out of a office window? Right. Who's determining that? Again, that is completely subjective.
Right.
You could also use blinds if you want some privacy, or curtains.
Yeah.
I mean, just saying.
In this meeting with whoever the city official was or the city officials were, did they ask for suggestions? And would you be willing to maybe draw out a manifesto of what it should be and present it?
I think that person had asked if I would be a part of making some suggestions to the consultant,
right,
but I haven't gotten a follow-up email or an invite. And I would be more than happy to do that. And one of the things that we talked about in the meeting was, why aren't we modeling all the other beach cities that don't have subjective criteria?
Right. Right.
So, what they promised is that there were going to be many more steps and modifications to the code. Right. And so our fear and belief based upon the history of this town is they will take this first step and they will stop there.
And I think I already know the answer before I even ask the question. On that stoppage point, are you going to be there to prod them along? Do you have...
We can only do that through sitting here talking to you, through Marcella's podcasts, and through informing the community and exposing this so that the proper community leaders are elected to actually affect change. If you're going to do something, do it right the first time.
Right. That's a credo of this radio station, by the way. Okay. Getting it right the first time.
Well, and that's what we explained to them. I'm like, why are you spending all this time and money for the first step? Right. You've been operating illegally for so long. Just do it right the first time. Right. Spend more time to get it done right the first time. And and this person said, no, we really are trying. This is the first step. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense to me.
I believe that, that there might be some good intention or positive, good faith intentions and belief on some of the city staff members, right, that this will ultimately get to a positive place. We just don't have the confidence that our actually elected officials who are so accustomed to having this subjective discretion that they're ever going to really be able to give it up.
Right.
And we're quite confident that they're going to get so comfortable with this first step, and it's going to buffer them against, and it's going to be their defense against future litigations, that they'll probably just take a step back from there and say, well, great, we made this first step. We've now stemmed some potential litigation, or we now have an argument in defense, and so it's going to make it more difficult for applicants, and let's just continue here because now we get to maintain our rule and our control.
I want to talk about the Unmasked podcast in just a moment, if I may. I want to circle back to that. And as I'm sitting here listening to the two of you, I think, yes, for the consultant not to have contacted you or reach out to you, it's probably because the consultant is getting a paycheck and thinks that they can do it on their own, and my word is my word, and that's it. Flip the coin. Either of you or both of you running for some seat on the city council or even to be appointed to the design review process.
You never know what the future holds, and change needs to be made.
Right.
And sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
Right. So I'll take that as a yes, I'm going to do something. I'm going to run for something, or I'm going to at least apply to be appointed to the design review process. That's what I take it as.
Well, I didn't exactly say that, but change is coming, and I just don't want to reveal in what form or fashion, but it's coming. It needs to happen.
Right.
I want this to be a community that my children want to live in.
Right.
I don't want it to be in a community where they say, I'm going to move elsewhere because it's just too difficult.
Right. Okay. Let's talk about the podcast now. When are you launching? I've seen some great Instagram teases, including someone that we all know and love. I've seen some great Instagram teases. It sounds like it's going to be great. When are you launching?
We're officially going to be launching more podcasts in 2026. We have dropped one.
Okay.
The 2026 lineup is going to be fierce. A lot of people are going to want to tune in. The guest list is incredible, and there's people from the inside that are going to be coming out and speaking about what goes on behind closed doors.
Okay. And I because I do that here, and I'm just asking you, will you vet the guests to make sure that you're not getting a disgruntled former employee or a disgruntled former board member or whatever the case is? Are you going to vet them beforehand?
We're vetting everyone. We get a lot of calls and inquiries to come on, and we vet the stories. A lot of it is the residents want to be heard, and right, wrong, or indifferent, if people agree with what they're saying or what they're not saying, at the end of the day, they have a voice. And if they are frustrated with the system, I will record with them and let them, air their grievances, because I think it's important, no matter how big or small the issue is,
right.
It needs to get out there. I think that the city officials need to know that it isn't just what they call the rich that are complaining. It's all of the community is complaining. It's not just the developers, that are being described as these monsters coming in trying to build Miami here, because that's not what we want to do. And, our reputation is such, but if you look at the projects that we've done, they're very community serving.
Right. So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just want to say, but it's important, this is, about giving a voice to the other side that hasn't received much exposure in the past.
Right.
So, there's perceptions, everyone has their opinions, but they also have their experiences.
Right.
And we don't get a lot of unbiased exposure in the local media here about politics, agenda items, and changes at the city level. And so this is giving an opportunity, so there isn't, to shed some speculation and rumors and gossip in town of, well, why was somebody fired, or why did they quit, or what's the other side, what's the opposing view here, and so we're just giving people an opportunity to voice that, and then let the community make informed decisions and do some additional homework because right now you're only hearing one-sided and a very marketed and biased side.
Marcelo, you brought up the point of this isn't just rich people complaining that we're not turning it into Miami. And just this morning, listener Scott, who walks by every day with his beautiful dog, Honey, after 2 years in the design review process over moving a door over 5 inches, 2 years, finally got approved. Well, he was delighted and happy with that, but 2 years. Also, I know not a rich family, but a young family living in town, looking to just make an improvement to their property. Again, going on their second year. They're 19 months in deep now. So it's those type of stories you're looking at?
100%.
Yeah. I mean, that was our first experience here in Laguna. We had a small cottage, and we loved the street we lived on. We loved our neighbors, and we wanted to add a very modest addition to it so that we could stay in the neighborhood and try to start our family. And we were told that we were building a McMansion, and that I didn't need a nursery because my children would grow out of the nursery. By the way, the nursery was the size of a closet that I could just put a crib in and have it be in the primary bedroom that was so small that that bedroom also could be a closet. So, it's at the end of the day, I feel like the officials here don't have the right to do that, and there should be a building envelope, and as long as someone is within that building envelope, they should have the right to build.
Okay.
Yeah, this McMansion was 1,900 square feet. 1,900 square feet.
Oh, it's kind of like the studio here. So I'll circle back around to the podcast in just a moment. The parcels that we had talked about in our last conversation, a lot of times, and we've all had staff that makes errors. All of us have at some point had staff that makes errors. No one ever reached out to you, and I don't think I asked you this. Did no one ever reached out to you to go, that was a staff error that was made?
No. What was what was told to us in writing and verbally is that there was a computer glitch, which after depositions and discovery, it was proven that there was no computer glitch. It was a manual entry.
And have you, since we last spoke, I had asked you, had you gotten a deposition from Mark Weiner at the time, and you hadn't. Have you since?
I believe there actually has been one.
Okay, so there has been.
I believe so. Yes, there was.
Okay.
Well, Mark Weiner's deposition was first, and then the woman that made the glitch manual change was second.
Okay.
I think you're correct.
Yeah.
I actually
Okay.
haven't read his deposition yet, but there was one. The thing I'd also note is it's just not just about this alleged computer glitch or the changing in the buildable status, because the changing in the buildable status would all be resolved if we had quote unquote road access.
Right.
And the only reason we don't have road access is because the city illegally blocked it by granting neighbors the right to block our road, or illegally taking easements and making them available to the public for walking paths. The other thing I want to comment on is, we've heard from like several people, right, who are like, oh, you guys are starting the podcast because you're just disgruntled that the city's blocked your massive high density development. I'd like to note it's nearly 20 acres, okay? 20 acres. We've proposed 10 buildable lots on 20 acres, okay? That's nearly 2 acres per lot. The average lot size in Laguna is like less than 6,500 square feet. Okay, this is the lowest density project that's ever been proposed. Probably the most environmentally sensitive, because there's so much open space, there's so much green. You're highly likely not even be able to see the majority of the houses that are built because it's so much space and such little development. The problem is the path the city's going down by fighting this, okay, and not just granting us our right and settling this lawsuit outside the court system, is that we ultimately may reposition this to a very high density project and take advantage of all the state laws that are available to us the city can't do anything about, which would make this 2 to 3 times as many houses that we're proposing.
We're talking density.
We're talking real density.
Real density.
Wow, I didn't think you were going to drop that.
This is the program you drop everything
I
on
mean,
here.
Ed gets you to talk.
So, something caught my ear about what you said, that they haven't reached out and maybe wanted to settle outside the court system. Is there still an opportunity for that?
Well, there's always an opportunity.
Okay.
There's always an opportunity. And that's how we settled the last lawsuit. Right before the trial date.
Okay. And
I'm sure that's what the city's looking to do here. They want to wait the last minute as possible
and try to drag it out.
And then hope that they can have some additional leverage to get us to negotiate. I'm presuming, but I don't know, because we haven't had any discussions, or there's been nothing communicated at all.
Since our last conversation, have you been contacted by other people with similar problems?
Many, actually.
Okay.
We're aware of like many lawsuits that have actually already been filed under very similar circumstances, citing very similar fact patterns, citing the same behavior and actions on the city, citing the state laws, citing abuse of discretion, citing violation of the Housing Authority Act, and also now citing our lawsuits as to demonstrate a fact pattern and a history of the city behaving this way. And
have your attorneys suggested perhaps a class action separate from your initial case?
We haven't talked about that, but we know directly that our attorneys have been hired by at least 4 other individuals who have either actively already filed or in the process of preparing to file a litigation against the city.
Okay, all right. And again, thank you for being so open about that. I appreciate that. So I'm sliding back over to the podcast right now. I noticed that, was he your first guest on your podcast? No. Okay. Because I saw you on I guess that was a sample piece, right? you have a future in television.
That's
You
the
have
first time I've ever done anything like that.
yeah,
She really had to like twist my arm.
Well,
I was very
I had to
uncomfortable.
make threats. I'm like, you're going to come on or there's going to be problems. Well, really, the reason I wanted him to come on is because he is very well versed in like the legal matters, and he takes care of the legal side of things.
Right.
And I think it's really important for people to be able to understand that point of view, and he can articulate it better than I can because he's involved in it every day.
Right, and the guy on the street gets it. It's you describe it in a very simplified manner that the rest of the world can get it, which right now I'm reading on the Text Connect. My listeners appreciate you explaining it the way you do, without all the legalese that we normally have to go through.
Well, I'd also like to just clarify that we're not doing this as a campaign for our one lawsuit. We're doing this because I was born and raised in this town, okay? So I'm 48 now.
I got kids your age.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
Marcella's been in this town for over 20 years, okay?
Right.
We've been through this process so many times. We've watched our friends go through this process.
Some of them have moved.
So many times, right? We've watched so many people abandon their projects, feel bullied, waste money, have their rights denied, that we just felt like this is time to start bringing some awareness and exposure for everybody, to the benefit of everyone else. We're fortunate that we've worked hard and had success in other areas in our lives, that we have the resources to be able to take on the city and challenge this. But the majority of the people don't have that. They don't have the emotional or physical or financial capacity to go and battle the city. It's just not fair, and it's not right for them. So we felt like it was our duty and our obligation to embark on this. And the Unmasked podcast is just about bringing more of a voice for everybody else.
Have you had projects in our neighboring cities? Have you had a project in Newport or in Dana Point or San Clemente? Have you?
We've had projects in other cities, yes.
And have you
never experienced anything like this?
So
never
much easier.
have sued any other city over a project ever.
Right. Never had to.
Never had to.
Okay.
Well, because the rules are clear.
Yes.
Right. That's been the biggest difference, is the clarity of the rules.
Yep.
All right. So the podcast is called Unmasked Podcast. Find it on Instagram, or you can watch it on Spotify, Apple, or YouTube. I am so looking forward to this next year of podcasts from you. Are you getting more comfortable in the seat, in the chair?
No.
You seem comfortable in the segment I saw with the two of you. You seemed really comfortable.
I mean, it's my husband. I have to talk to him every day. We're
Right.
comfortable.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, I am uncomfortable, but I am going to continue to try to be more comfortable, because I think that it's important.
Right.
And that's really what I really want to do, something that's important that can make a change. And even if the change is small or it takes a long time, I think that it's important for people to know what's going on.
Right. Well, I'd love to have you guys back. Let's do this once a month. Let's
That'd be great.
do this every month, and
Okay.
let's catch up. Let's see where you are. Let's see where you are in all of the
Yeah.
stuff that we've
Happy
talked
to do
about
so. It's
today.
fun.
And if you need to make a call, boom, call me up, and we'll do it. However, all right, however you guys want to do it. Am I missing anything before we go?
No.
All right. What's your holiday look like? What are you guys doing for the holidays?
Hopefully some skiing. Hopefully
right.
there's some snow on the mountain. Doesn't look that great.
All right. You're talking about local mountains?
Idaho.
Yeah. All right. Well, there
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay.
Hopefully. We'll see.
There'll be snow. There will be snow.
Is there snow in the forecast now? Well, he watches it every day.
Right. I got a friend in Utah that said that Bryan Head right now. Bryan Head, Utah is doing really well, so that might be a spot.
Hopefully,
It
right?
looks like it's coming. Fingers crossed. We just need the temperatures to get cold.
Yeah, it's pretty warm now.
All right. Well, have a happy holiday if I don't see you before then.
Happy
And we'll
holiday.
look forward to seeing you after the holiday. Marcella and Chris Dornan launching a podcast called Unmasked Podcast. You can find it on Instagram, also Spotify, Apple, or YouTube. If you need any information on how to find them, just buzz me here at the radio station. Chris, Marcella, thank you so very much for being
Thank
here.
you.
Thanks, Ed.
Appreciate you. I appreciate your time. 1:09 the time. It's the voice of Laguna.